Okay, listen, this whole situation, it's way messier than people thought at first. Like, at first, it sounded like just another celebrity did something weird moment, but the deeper you go, the more uncomfortable it gets. So basically, this all blew up when behind-the-scenes commentary from Deadpool and Wolverine dropped. Not even the movie itself, like the commentary track. And that's where Ryan casually admits something that made everyone go, wait, what? He revealed that Kidpool, the younger version of Deadpool, was actually voiced by his own daughter. She's 7. 7. Now, normally, that could have been a cute little aw family moment, right? But nope, because the line she had to say wasn't cute at all. It was one of those typical Deadpool-style jokes. You know how that humor is very adult, very inappropriate, very, this is not for kids. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Ryan himself admitted that she didn't even want to say the line at first. Like, she straight up said no. And instead of just letting it go, the response was basically, okay, we'll just find someone else. And apparently, that's when she changed her mind. Now, people online are like, hold on. That doesn't sound like a natural decision from a kid. That sounds like pressure. Like, what kid hears will replace you and doesn't feel forced to say yes? That's where the whole thing started feeling off. And then it gets worse. The director, Sean Levy, literally joked, that she had to repeat different versions of that same line anywhere from 70 to 500 times. Even if that number is exaggerated, like, why even say that? Because now people are imagining a child being made to repeat an adult joke over and over again. And not just any joke. The specific line people are upset about, it had very explicit adult humor involving Wolverine. Like, not subtle at all. And suddenly the whole thing shifted from cute cameo to this feels wrong. Even Ryan kind of hinted at it. He sarcastically called himself Father of the Year in the commentary, like he knew it sounded questionable. But instead of stopping there, he just kept laughing it off. That's what really triggered people. Because now the conversation isn't just about one line, it's about boundaries. Like, where do you draw the line when it comes to involving kids in adult content? Especially when they're your own child. And the backlash? Immediate. Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, everyone started going in. People were saying things like, why would you even put your kid in that position? And this isn't just acting, this is adult material. Some creators even broke down the situation clip by clip, pointing out how uncomfortable the whole exchange sounded. And the biggest concern people kept repeating was simple. If she didn't want to do it, why was she pushed? And what's crazy is, this didn't come from some leaked footage or gossip site. They said all of this themselves. Openly, on record. Then, the conversation got bigger. People started questioning Disney too. Because remember, Deadpool is now under Disney after the Fox acquisition. And even though the movie is rated mature, it's still sitting on Disney Plus, a platform people associate with family content. There was no disclaimer about any of this. No warning that a child was involved in delivering that kind of dialogue. Nothing. So now people are like, okay, where are the safeguards? Because technically, laws protect child actors in terms of work hours and money. But when it comes to what they're actually asked to perform, that's way more gray. And this is where things start connecting to something bigger. Because this controversy didn't happen in isolation. At the same time, there's already a huge legal mess going on involving Ryan, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni. Baldoni filed a massive defamation lawsuit, like $400 million level, claiming they basically tried to ruin his reputation. And part of his argument involves the Kidpool character itself, saying it's actually mocking him. He pointed out similarities, like the man bun, the personality, even specific traits. And when Ryan responded legally, he didn't deny it clearly. He just brushed it off as satire. But people are starting to see a pattern now. On one side, you've got this situation with their daughter being involved in adult humor. On the other side, there are accusations of using characters to take digs at real people. And the overall vibe people are getting is control. Like everything is calculated, but wrapped in humor so it doesn't look serious. And Blake? She's been way quieter publicly, but she's still very much part of this. Reports say she was involved in production decisions too, and even supported certain choices during filming. So now the narrative online is shifting from this was a mistake to this is how they operate. And honestly, once people start thinking like that, it's hard to reverse it. And the thing is, Once people started digging deeper, it stopped being just about that one uncomfortable moment with their daughter. It turned into this whole pattern people are now side-eyeing. Because apparently, this isn't the first time their kids were brought into the middle of things. There are insiders from different productions saying that Ryan has, more than once, used his family situation to influence how things go on set. And look, on the surface, it sounds normal. Like, he's a dad, he wants time with his kids, fair enough. But the way it's being described, it's not that simple. There was this whole situation during It Ends With Us, where Justin Baldoni reached out to Ryan early on, just a normal, professional message like, hey, we're going to be working together. And Ryan basically ghosted him for a while, left him hanging. Then, when he finally replied, he framed everything around his kids, talking about how they're always sick, how he needs more time with them, making jokes about their immune system being on beta version. Like, very Ryan Reynolds humor. But underneath all that, there were actual demands, scheduling changes, adjustments that affected the entire production, and that's where people started getting annoyed. Because when someone at that level asks for changes, it's not just a small tweak. It affects everyone: crew members, makeup artists, camera teams, people who don't have the luxury to just say, yeah, I'll take the day off. And apparently, this kept happening. Blake was also involved in this pattern. She reportedly called in sick during filming at one point, which caused delays. But then just days later, she was spotted at a Taylor Swift concert. Not just once, multiple times. Like 7 different shows. And people noticed. Because you can't say you're too sick to work on a film set, but perfectly fine to attend loud, crowded concerts, traveling around, smiling for photos. That's when the public started feeling like something wasn't adding up. And this is where it gets interesting. They've always pushed this image of being very protective parents, like super private about their kids. They've asked media to blur their children's faces. They talk about shielding them from the spotlight, but at the same time, they bring them to red carpets. They mention them constantly in interviews. They even include them in projects like this. So people are like, wait, are you protecting them, or are you using them when it benefits your image? Because those are two very different things. And honestly, that contradiction is what's really making people uncomfortable. Even within their own circle, things seem to be shifting. Like, people notice that Taylor Swift, who used to be really close to them, has kind of distanced herself. She's been publicly supporting other people lately, like Selena Gomez and Zoe Kravitz, but nothing for Blake or Ryan. No shout-outs, no visible support. And in Hollywood, that kind of silence, it says a lot. Behind the scenes, it's apparently even more serious. Industry insiders are saying that some agencies are advising clients to avoid associating with them publicly until all this settles down. That's huge. Because when brands and other celebrities start pulling back, it means this isn't just online drama anymore. It's affecting real opportunities. There are even reports that a couple of brand deals are currently on hold. Blake's plans to move further into directing are under heavy scrutiny now. And Ryan, who used to be everywhere online promoting stuff, has suddenly gone quiet. Like noticeably quiet. And then there's the legal side of things, which honestly feels like a whole separate storm building in the background. Baldoni's lawsuit is still ongoing, and his legal team is planning to dig deep. Not just surface-level stuff, but actual production records, communications, casting, decisions, everything. And now, Disney is being pulled into the conversation too, because they funded and distributed Deadpool. So, if there were questionable decisions made during production, people are asking, who approved it? Who allowed it? Especially when it involves a child. There's even talk that this could become one of those major industry cases where corporate accountability comes into play. Like not just blaming the actors, but the entire system that allowed it to happen. And let's be real, Hollywood has a history of protecting big names. That's not new. But what's different now is the audience. People aren't just passively watching anymore. They're analyzing everything. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube people are breaking down clips, timelines, statements, connecting dots that used to go unnoticed. And that's exactly what happened here. This whole situation didn't blow up because of mainstream media. It was regular people online who started questioning things, pulling up receipts, pointing out inconsistencies. And once that started, it spread fast. Now, hashtags are trending, discussions are everywhere, and the general tone has shifted from curiosity to criticism. Some fans are still defending them, saying it's being overblown, that it's just a joke, that people are reading too much into it. But a lot of others aren't buying that anymore. Because when you step back and look at everything together, the Kidpool situation, the repeated takes, the pressure, the production behavior, the legal issues, it starts to feel like a bigger pattern rather than isolated incidents. And that's what's making this so messy. It's not just one thing people are reacting to, it's the combination of everything. And now it's reached that point where people aren't even reacting emotionally anymore. They're analyzing, like properly breaking it down piece by piece. And that's when things get dangerous for any celebrity image. Because Ryan Reynolds has always had this very specific brand, right? Funny, charming, self-aware. I'm just a chill dad making jokes. That whole vibe carried him for years. People loved him for it. But now, that same humor is being reinterpreted. The sarcasm, the jokes, the way he brushes things off, instead of coming across as charming, it's starting to feel like deflection. Like he's hiding behind humor to avoid actually addressing what people are concerned about. And once that switch happens in the public's mind, it's very hard to go back. Because now every old clip, every interview, every funny moment is being revisited with a different lens. People are literally saying, wait, was he always like this and we just didn't notice? That's the kind of shift that slowly chips away at a reputation. And Blake is caught right in the middle of it. Even though she hasn't been as vocal, her silence is being read in different ways. Some people think she's being smart, letting Ryan take the heat while she stays low. Others think it makes her look complicit, like she's avoiding accountability. Either way, she's not escaping the criticism, especially with that whole called in sick but went to concerts situation still floating around. That one really stuck with people because it felt relatable. Like everyone knows what it's like to have work responsibilities, and seeing someone in that position casually disrupt a whole production while others have to adjust, it didn't sit right. And when you combine that with the idea that their kids are being used, whether for projects, for public image, or even as excuses, it creates this uncomfortable narrative that people can't ignore anymore. That they're not just private parents, they're strategic about how and when their children are involved. And that's a heavy accusation. Then there's the Baldoni situation, which honestly feels like it could explode even more depending on how things unfold. Because if his legal team actually goes through with deep discovery emails, internal discussions, casting notes, that's where real problems could come out. Not rumors, not commentary, actual documented decisions. And if anything in there supports even part of what he's claiming, that's when it shifts from public backlash to something much more serious. There's already talk in industry circles that this case could drag on for a long time, possibly into late 2025. And during that time, both Ryan and Blake are basically in this weird limbo. Not fully canceled, but definitely not untouched. Projects are being handled more carefully. Interviews are more controlled. Public appearances are limited. It's like everything around them has slowed down just enough to avoid making things worse. And Disney staying silent? That's another layer.